Hello friends and welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're going to make taco pasta. So everything you see on my counter is what we're going to use to make this, and really it's not that hard because you're going to end up with something that's pasta with some beef in it, some vegetables. It's going to have some beef broth that goes into it to give a really good beef taste, taco seasoning, and some cheese, and it's going to have such an amazing flavor when you're done. It just basically tastes like the flavor of taco but with pasta and meat in it that's just basically by itself without having a taco shell or whatever. So this is something that's really wonderful. It's easy to make, it doesn't take a lot of time, and we're going to get started with this right now. So we're going to cut up about a half a cup of onion, and we want to actually make sure that we chop it up pretty fine. We don't want like really huge chunks of this going into what we're making, just for the sake of that we don't want it overriding the pasta itself and being larger than what it is. Now, you can use different kinds of pasta in this. It's your choice. I'm using elbow macaroni. You could use anything you really want to make this. It makes no difference. You can use shells or whatever. But whatever you do with it, it's still going to have a great taste because the pasta is still going to work. But as you can see, the onion is cut up very small here. We don't really want a lot of it. We're going to put this into a large pot, which we're going to add at least 3 tablespoons of oil to this and turn on medium-high heat because we want to get the temperature up in here. We're going to start cooking the onions before we do anything else here with this. Let's go ahead and add those onions in. And then after the onions are in, we will be adding in a half a cup of red bell pepper that's been sliced up as well. We're going to cook these at the same time. We really want them to be in there for at least 3 to 4 minutes cooking time before we add anything else to this. Because for one thing, like my bell peppers were frozen, so I want to give them a chance to actually thaw out and cook, but I also want to give the onions a chance to cook as well. So just go ahead and do this 3 to 4 minutes. Make sure you get them really coated with the oil, let them do their deal, and then afterwards we're going to bring in a pound of ground beef and bring straight into the same pot and let them cook together, because that way they all have time to do their thing at the same time. So just clear out a section in the middle of the pot, dump in your pound of ground beef, and we're going to break this up, brown it, cook it with everything else, mix it all together. But you're going to want to cook this for probably like 8 to 10 minutes because you really want to make sure that this is cooked through. We don't want to see any pink left in it. We don't want to see anything like huge hunks. We just want to break it up, brown it, and get it done. So go ahead and just move this around and get it all crumbly, heat it up, do the whole deal with your spatula until it is to a point where you think it's cooked all the way through. Now this is, like I said, it's going to take 8 to 10 minutes. Just make sure that you actually get this thoroughly cooked. And along the way, we're going to add some minced garlic to this and allow that to cook in as well. One thing about the minced garlic that you want to keep in mind, we don't want that to cook for a very long time. Now, so mind you, this is why we're putting it after everything else is cooking, because we want to make sure that we don't leave it in there for more than a minute on its own doing anything in the bottom of the pan, because if you scorch your minced garlic, it will taste it and it will make the whole rest of everything taste bad. So we're going to add 1 tablespoon of minced garlic to this and literally stir it throughout everything in our pot and let it cook for about a minute. And that way we're going to get it to a point where it's cooked but it's not scorched. And then afterwards we're going to bring in a package of taco seasoning. And this is just a package you could pick up in any store. Doesn't even cost you $1. It's really cheap to use, and we're gonna dump it in on top of this and just go ahead and mix it through and let it start cooking into the beef and the vegetables just to actually give them flavor. So once it's in there, just go ahead and mix this up, stir it around, and once we get all of that combined and everything working well here, we're going to bring in a half a tablespoon of tomato paste, and we're going to work that into this as well, just to give it a little bit of a tomatoey flavor to this. So go ahead and put that in, mix it through, and make sure that it breaks up, because there should be enough moisture in here right now at this point to break it up. Let's go ahead and stir that through, and let this just totally combine in with the rest of it. And then we're going to bring in 1 cup of water and add to this. And this is going to help everything just totally adhere to the beef and everything else, because at this point you got something to work with when you're stirring this up. So go ahead and let the temperature come up in your pot before we do anything else, because we kind of want to get this up to temperature before we add in beef broth. And when we do this, we're going to add 2.5 cups of beef broth to this. So once it actually starts bubbling a little bit in there, you know it's about the time that you can go ahead and add that in. So just give it a second. When you see the bubbles start, then go ahead and pour in your liquid. And as you can see with mine, it's starting to bubble right now. So this is a perfect time. And then once it's in there, again, we want to stir this and mix it up to make sure that, you know, it's totally mixed through and that everything is totally combined together, because we want to make sure this is always stirred as we're going. Don't want anything to sit on the bottom. And you can put a lid on this for a few minutes and bring it up to a boil again and get it really hot before we do anything else. And then once you get this up to where it's really hot, we're going to add 3 cups of pasta to this, which I'm using elbow macaroni. Like I said, you can use others if you want. Whatever you want to do with this, I would just steer towards like the smaller kind of pasta, not really huge ones. So mix this up. We're going to bring this back up to a boil again. Once we get it to a point where it is actually boiling, don't put a lid back on this. We just want to keep this heated up, and we're going to reduce the heat to about medium. So at this point, we're just going to let this simmer and do its deal. And it's going to simmer anywhere from 12 to 14 minutes. But the whole thing we're doing here is we're trying to reduce the liquid in this. So we're taking it down by 3/4 of the liquid that's already there. And we just want to get it cooked down before we add our cheese to this, because we don't want the cheese like totally being watered down and messed up. So, and when we use our cheese, we're going to actually use cheddar cheese out of a can, because it's cheddar cheese soup. But we want to go ahead and stir this, keep going, measure it. Like, you know, as you can see right now, my moisture is already reducing. And in a minute, mine will actually be down to a point where you can actually work with it and do what you need to do. But you have to let this go with the lid off so that way it can cook out the moisture. But when you get it to this point, like you see mine, where the moisture is mostly gone, then you have to have a can of cheddar cheese soup, and we're going to add this in, and you can basically turn the heat off at this point, because we're just going to put this in, stir it in, and make sure that it works into the pasta. So you need to stir this in really well. The good thing about this is once it's at this point, you're pretty much done with it, because you would just like stir it in, let it sit, let it thicken. The cooler it gets, the thicker it's going to get, the more it's going to adhere, the more it's going to be the consistency of what we want. The only thing you can do at this point is if you want to add like some salt and pepper, or maybe some Cajun seasoning or something to give it a little kick on the outside of the flavor we already have, you can sprinkle some over top of it right about now. And that's your choice. If you want to use salt and pepper or whatever you want to use, it's up to you. Just remember, don't put a lot of it in until you taste it to make sure what you've got going on. So basically, I did about like a half a teaspoon of salt and a half teaspoon of pepper in mine, really. And once it was done, just stir it up a little bit. And then it's at a point where you're ready to serve this, because at this point it's completely cooked. It's ready to go. I'd serve it while it's still kind of hot, but to the point where it's already thickened up. And then you're perfectly ready to go. And this is an amazing dish with amazing flavor, because you're getting all that flavor that would have been taco, but you're getting it with the pasta and the cheese and everything else. It just works so well. And this is what mine looked like on my plate. And I got to tell you, it was a pleasure to eat. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, check out the Southern Mountain Kitchen website, where you can get a free recipe, check out the cookbooks available from the Southern Mountain Kitchen, and if you'd like to, you could order a cookbook at a discounted price, cheaper than Amazon, with shipping that is also cheaper than Amazon. So if you get a chance, check it out, and I hope you have a great day.